Okay, time for the review for the medium. The way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna handle it first by gameplay and then by narrative, because that's how I usually do this shit. So first off, let's just go by level design first. So the whole thing with the majority of it took place in the Niwa Resort or in the forest, both of which were places that I really enjoyed. That they were good. Now, you could say one thing that someone could be bothered by is the fact that there are no exquisite looking areas, because that is true. Visually speaking, everything is dilapidated. But like I predicted it would be like that from the beginning, because the game takes place in a fucking dilapidated building, of course, right? And then the spirit world is basically the same place, but just with membranes and whatnot. So while I'm not gonna lie, I would have kind of preferred to have some better locations. When I say locations, I mean like nice and vibrant and elaborate. Well, these ones are already elaborate, but you know what I mean, like nice looking ones. But honestly, that wouldn't fit with the game's theme anyway. So while it would be nice to have it, it's kind of better than it doesn't have it. So let's go on to I enjoyed the level design. I really did. So let's go on to the next part of the gameplay. So next thing I'll go over will be the puzzles. Puzzles, very well done, legitimately. I enjoyed all of them. Some of them took me some time to figure out, but I didn't mind it. I did not mind it whatsoever. One rule that I have is that I figure out a puzzle for 30 minutes, no more than 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, I look it up. At no point did I actually have to look up a puzzle in this game. Is that a bad thing? Hell no. It annoys me to have to look up puzzles, because, like, I don't want to look up, I want to figure it out for myself. But at the same time, I don't want to be spending 6 fucking hours finding one fucking puzzle. So, now granted, like, some of them took me upwards of, like, 10 minutes. But, like, okay, they weren't hardcore puzzles, I'll give you that. Like, they weren't, like, Tormented Souls. Tormented Souls had some hardcore fucking shit. But they were good for what they were. I genuinely enjoyed them. The puzzles were really good. The spirit world versus the regular world gameplay aspects and the puzzles and just how it connects to the narrative as well as the puzzles and gameplay is fucking incredible. It truly is. I enjoy it. The visuals are also astounding. Like there were multiple times when I straight up started moving different buttons, whatever like that on my controller, because I thought the cutscene was done when it wasn't yet. Because I couldn't even tell. Because this game looks fucking magnificent. And that's for cutscenes and gameplay. This game looks beautiful. And to add to the visual beauty is the rest of the atmosphere, dude. This game's atmosphere is honestly probably the most brilliant I've ever experienced in any game ever. And I say it with no exaggeration. Okay, because like a lot of games have great atmospheres. So an example of another game with a good atmosphere, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. That game also had a fantastic atmosphere, but this game's is more immersive. And you want to know why it's actually more immersive? I'm playing this on PS5 because of the PS5's excellent choice of having adaptive triggers and haptic feedback. I cannot express how good of a decision that was, because especially the haptic feedback, it straight up adds to the game's atmosphere. I've already explained this before, but it does. It truly does. So like, even games that have exceptional atmosphere for what they do, okay, like Amnesia: Dark Descent with haptic feedback, my fuck, like, oh, that's the main thing, honestly. So like, I've played games with a fantastic, phenomenal atmospheres, but this one is better than those other ones solely by virtue of the fact that it had more options, meaning feeling. Every other game has visual audio cues, but this game had the opportunity to add feeling to it, like physical feeling, and that is fucking brilliant. And atmosphere in PS5 games at least are only going to get better from here. Like, by God, I do not fucking exaggerate that point enough. This game's atmosphere, fucking 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, 100 out of 100, 1,000 out of 1,000. I fucking love it. Now let's go for just the general gameplay itself. Was there that much to it? Was the walking around a lot of it? Yes. Do I mind that? No. Why? Because it fits the game, fits the narrative, like it fits everything. Like the only part of the gameplay that ever got like slightly tedious to me was whenever you would have to sit there and use the razor blade to cut through the membrane. But that's like such a slight thing. Like, are you kidding me? The only other thing than that for the gameplay for me, would be the fixed camera angles. Well, actually, not even fixed camera angles. The lack of tank controls of fixed camera angles. I prefer my fixed camera games to have tank controls. Just like Song of Horror, though, it wasn't that big of a deal because the camera pans, which means that the cameras don't actually change angles like as much as they would, unless like the OG Resident Evil games. But also, the camera angle changes, except for 2 areas, aren't that hardcore. When I say 2 areas, I mean like 2 rooms. Aren't that hardcore. So like it's pretty easy to navigate around. Walking around is fine. You can jog around too, and jogging around. I complained a little bit about the jogging not being that fast, but like realistically, why would you do a jog faster than that, except for certain times of adrenaline, which is where they sprint anyway. I mean, come on. So like speeding up, like doing the jog does speed it up, and it doesn't really affect the lack of tank controls that much because you're still able to fully navigate everything. The only parts where it did bother me, but I'm not going to count this against the game itself because it was literally 2 fucking rooms, are one of the rooms in the upstairs of the Niwa Resort itself. It was one of the first parts where you encounter those butterflies. I think it was actually the first part you encounter those butterflies. There's a little hallway. That little hallway had a dramatic camera angle change. That was one of them. The other one was in that bunker with the bathroom, with that one stall. That was a dramatic camera angle change that fucked me up. Aside from that, though, like, I do still prefer tank controls, but like not having them in this game wasn't bad. And even for the parts when it was like adrenaline and sprinting and all that, whenever you had to sprint, you sprinted in a straight line, basically. There were some twists and turns, but it was mostly a straight line, and the camera angle didn't change except for cinematic purposes, which makes it fine. So overall, it didn't. I still do prefer tank controls, but it did not disappoint me. It didn't really hamper my experience, the fact that there aren't. So kind of like Song of Horror. Another point for the gameplay is the sound, meaning the music. This should have probably gone into the atmosphere, but whatever. So, Akira Yamaoka from Silent Hill's Prestige, plus whoever the fuck the other guy's name was, excellent music. Another point of excellent music is the 2 pieces used at the very end. The one, well, I guess 3 actually. The one in the bunker, the one in the forest, and then the one at the end credits. This game had excellent pieces of music. I hope those are. I don't know if the licensed tracks are going to be heard or not. I hope they will be. But it was excellent. I went through the whole credits were amazing. So let's move on to the narrative. So firstly, I'm going to break this down by characters and then by overall macro narrative. The characters, the main point of the main narrative is, and I love this. And this is something that both the games Twin Mirror and Life is Strange True Colors prided themselves on, and both those games fucked up this concept. This game didn't even fucking pride itself on it, well, that I know of, and they fucking nailed it. Every character fucking matters, and they all tie directly into the macro narrative in a very large way. And that's a fucking good thing. The Niwa massacre happened because, well, okay, preface, I'm not gonna summarize the whole fucking story of this game. Why? Other people have a playthrough on it. I have my own playthrough on it. If you don't know, I'm not gonna go over the story for this review. Like, either play the shit yourself or watch it. Whether it's my channel or anybody goddamn else's. Just like go through the game yourself, because that's the best way to experience it anyway. With that in mind, I love the way they tie into each other. The characters are fantastic. You don't know much about Lillian, I gotta be honest, but what you do know is that her life got fucked. I compared her to the feral child Genie before, and that's very true. She's stuck at the Niwa Resort, and if Thomas hadn't been there, then I would call bullshit on her being that long. But Thomas was with her that whole time. So like it's totally understandable that she could be there and just chill, and then she stays there in order to keep. Oh yeah, by the credits gave the creepy asshole a name, which was Ma. I'll call him by his actual name, Ma, but I'll call him Ma the asshole. Like Ma the asshole stays there because that's where Lillian stays. Lillian forgot like well, Lillian forgot shit too. Again, I think it's perfectly understandable though for her to have the issues that she has because first off, she's a powerful medium, and second off, she was locked in a fucking room like that for such a fucking long time. That's gonna fuck with your fucking mind. Just gotta fucking say that shit right now. Henry's fucking psychopathic ass. With Thomas, I know this is going to be all over the place because there's a lot of characters that go over this here. Thomas's interactions with Henry are pretty damn good. You don't know what happened to Thomas. My assumption is that thing probably killed him, but who knows? Okay, I'll get back to Thomas later because Thomas directly leads me into one point that I almost shat on. I'll go to Thomas last. But Henry's deal and him basically just being a fucking psychopath, it doesn't even bother me, that they're revealed at the end, there is no kid, it's just me and fuck you. I don't mind that because the way that the game portrayed him, remember how I told you, I mentioned during gameplay that they gave what I view to be almost unnecessary background, but it was still good though. It wasn't, because that background that you get before what he does actually pertains to the narrative of the game gives you the background that of course he would have some fake kid in his world. Like he was I can't call him a psychopath, I don't know if a psychopath, but he was a mentally deranged motherfucker, dude. Like this guy didn't give a fuck about anything. Like if you follow his background close enough, it makes perfect sense why he would be able to trap Henry in his world. I just gotta say, like that all makes perfect sense to me. That's Thomas, whatever. I don't remember what I just said, but you know what I mean. Lily being stuck there is fantastic. Every character is well done in this game. The Maw, like not being able to kill him. I assume you couldn't kill him because he was a spirit, but he wasn't. You know where the Maw comes from, sort of. Like it was a part of Lillian, and then she had to release it. It was her inner demon. Now, here's one thing I will say. Certain parts of the characters, like Thomas, like the Maw, are not actually fully fleshed out. But that's still not a negative, and here's why. And this part actually, I almost shat on the ending of this game because of the fact that they don't show who Marianne shoots. Because as cool of a cliffhanger as that is, it destroys any finale... What's the word I'm looking for? The word isn't catharsis, but I'm going to use the word catharsis for lack of a better term I can think of. Look up the word catharsis if you don't know what it means. But like it destroys any climactic catharsis. That's not the right word, but if you know what the word catharsis means, then you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I'm not going to, and here's why. So, one thing I actually did between beating the game and doing this, I didn't look at any of the reviews, but I looked at some things concerning this game's ending. And one thing that I found out is that, now I don't know, this is apocryphal because I haven't seen anything from Bloober Team itself, but there are other people who are saying this, which is that they're planning on doing a sequel for this game. And the sequel will reveal who got shot. I'm perfectly fine with that, right? I really am. And that makes sense more so too because the relationship between the Maw and Lillian is not fully fleshed out, at least not from anything that I read, which I read every file I could. And Thomas's deal, what the fuck happened to him? That's also not resolved. So two threads that are left unresolved, and one character relationship dynamic that's left unresolved. To me, I agree, that screams sequel. And I'll tell you fucking what, I would be more than happy to have a sequel to this game. You wanna know why? This game is fucking brilliant. There is no other way to put it. This game is fucking brilliant. Like, I looked forward to playing this fucking game every time I did. I'm not bullshitting. It dragged me into it in a good sense. Like, I looked forward to playing this fucking game every time I played it. And like that other part too. This kind of go back to the gameplay, but the part where you have to do the puzzle with the water levels of the tanks in that red house place. That part was debilitating as fuck. I want to praise that so much, cause like the maw is around, and you don't know exactly where it is, but you hear it everywhere. It's so fucking debilitating, and I fucking love it. Yes, I have to say fuck to drive home the fucking point, because that's how fucking phenomenal it was. Believe you fucking me. I love everything about this game. I truly do. It legitimately makes me happy. There are so many games I've played where it'll be going fantastic, but then at the very end, something fucks up and I just can't give it a perfect score. Like, that happens from time to time. Whether it's the gameplay or the narrative. This game didn't have any of those problems. I'm gonna tell you right now, there is no major problem that I have with this game, gameplay-wise or narrative-wise, that makes me enjoy any less than optimal. I had a truly optimal experience with this game. I fucking mean that. It was a fantastic game through and through. Sometimes I grade games, sometimes I don't. Which my grades don't really mean anything. Some people, when they grade stuff, they use that tier ranking thing on the internet, and it gives an S. I don't do a fucking S rating with my grades because I don't care about the S rating. I go by a school system, A, B, C, D, F. I don't know what the fuck happened at E, but it's not there for whatever reason. But that's how I do my rating, my rankings. I don't give an S. I just don't. I don't care for it. So as far as this game matches up, though, with everything, considering everything that I just said, all the praises I just gave for it, because of the promise of a sequel. Now, I want to mention this for the future. If no sequel comes out, this changes. But with the promise / potential of a sequel in the future, I give this game a solid, perfect score of an A+. I am not bullshitting. I give this game a fucking A+. This game did it for me. Now, if no sequel comes out, that grade would go down. Cause like I said, there's 2 threads missing in the narrative and 1 character dynamic not fully explained enough. And when I say not fully explained enough, I mean that it needed more context within the game's narrative, but that could easily be fixed in a sequel. So if a sequel comes out, this game retains its A+. If not, then I don't know. It'll go down to some degree. But right now, it's a motherfucking A+. Bloober Team, you did a great fucking job with Layers of Fear. You did a fucking shit job with the shit show that was Blair Witch. But you did a fucking phenomenal motherfucking job with this motherfucker right here. I cannot say that enough. You did a fucking phenomenal fucking job with this motherfucking game right the fuck here. Just gotta say it again, because fuck. Everything about it. I have no major issues with this game. That's all I gotta say. So I guess that's pretty much it for this review. I fucking love this game. This is one of the best games I've played in a very long time. Like, I genuinely enjoy it. Like, even other games, like, take other games. Like, take Tormented Souls. I love Tormented Souls, not for the story, but for the gameplay. But honestly, I love Tormented Souls because I love the gameplay because it harkens back to the classic survival horror. I love this game for what it is on its motherfucking own. I fucking love this game. The narrative ties well into itself. It's very well done. I hope there's a sequel, because 2 threads need to get fleshed out, two threads need to get finished, and then the character dynamic needs to be better explained, and then we'll see what happens with the Maw. Now, what would you might be thinking to yourself, what would happen? Well, here's an idea for the motherfucking sequel. Have Marianne kill herself because she just can't handle it, and then maybe you're playing as Lillian dealing with the Maw on your own. Or perhaps you have Thomas to help you out. I'm telling you right now, if this game gets a sequel, I'm playing that shit. I am fucking playing that shit. because this shit was the shit, straight up. So with that being said, though, I think this is the end of my review. I think this is, if not the first, then one of the few games I've done where I straight up have no major complaints. I didn't have any major complaints with the Town of Light either, but that's only because the Town of Light, I straight up ignored the gameplay part of it because the gameplay in that game didn't matter. But it did matter in this game, and it still fucking nailed it. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna give myself 30 seconds to add anything that I might want to add, starting now. This will go in those 30 seconds that I gave myself. So, two things I do want to add, and I want to add these because I went through looking on other people's thoughts because I recorded my initial review before that. I did look at other stuff for the ending because of the cliffhanger before I did my review, like I mentioned. But once I did my initial review, what I'm talking about right now is like I looked at people's thoughts on the game as a whole, not just the ending. Distinction there. So actually it's kind of funny because the users, like the normal people who play this game, are praising the hell out of it, except for two things, which is why I'm adding to my initial review. Because I want to address them. But the critics, I love it because the critics, a lot of the critics that I've seen are shitting on it, which just tells me the disparity here. But so I want to address the two main issues that other people are talking about. The first thing I want to talk about is the split screen thing, because I don't think I touched on this during my initial review actually. So some people are bothered by the fact that sometimes it goes split screen, and since it goes split screen, you have to focus on one screen or the other. Some people complain about that. So I don't think I gave my thoughts on that. I think I left that out. Just didn't think about it. So here's my thoughts on that. I get it. I get the complaint. That you have to focus on one or the other, because that's what I had to do too. But I don't mind it because it's such a unique concept, and because there's never anything going on in both screens at the same time that are very equally important. So your attention can be on one or the other, and for the most part it doesn't really matter. You'll have brilliant things, but by the way, how much work do you think the developers that have put into this? I mean, I'm not asking it facetiously, but I think they had to put in a lot of work, because you'll have one part of the cutscene being focused on one character, and another part of the split screen being on the other one at the same time. It's crazy, for the cutscenes at least. But the only time when there's ever anything more important going on in one screen than the other, the game makes the screen with the important shit bigger, emphasizing it. That way your eyes automatically turn to it. So I get people's problem with it, but I personally don't see it as an issue for that very reason. I think it's a unique concept that they did implement it well because of what I just said. So here's the other one, and people are bitching about the end, which I did myself. But so since people bitched about the end, and I gave the game an A+ ranking, which I keep. I want to maintain that, but hinging on a sequel. Well, here's the thing, because that's a consensus. A consensus is that Bloober Team is doing a sequel because of the thing, which I agree with. But now, so here's the thing I'll say though. Let's assume there's not going to be a sequel. I'm keeping my N+ in case, but let's assume there's not going to be one. So the undone threads, let's say with the incomplete thing for Thomas, that's just fucked if there's no sequel, and that has to take down the game ranking. But let's think about the gunshot, right? Who got shot? Because that wouldn't be resolved if there's no sequel, because it's a cliffhanger. So what would happen? Well, you got two issues there. You can either have Lillian or Marianne being the bitch who got shot. So let's assume it's Lillian. Well, if it's Lillian, then the monster goes away. The monster is intrinsically tied to Lillian, and it can't leave where she's not, which is why she doesn't leave the Niwa Resort, because then the Maw can go with her, the Maw of the asshole. As it is now, he's stuck in the Niwa resort, which is why he can't get out and kill anybody else, because he possessed that nurse and then everything happened. So if Lillian is the one who's dead, then in that case, the moss fucked. Lillian's dead, which honestly, her life, okay, yeah, like her life would be put to a cruel and miserable end because her life got fucked years and years ago anyway. Honestly, it would be a sad existence. Lillian would have had a shell of an existence in that case, which is honestly really fucking sad. That's what happened to Lillian if she gets shot. But what about Marianne though? Well, Marianne has the trauma of killing her own long lost sister, which sucks. She still doesn't know where Thomas is, and unless there's a sequel, you can't predict what would happen between her and Thomas. I mean, she keeps looking for Thomas, I guess, but will she ever find him? Who the fuck knows? Or hell, that could be. You know what? That could. I gave one plot scenario for if Lillian's the one who survives. Fuck, if Marianne's the one who survives, it could be about her also trying to find Thomas and dealing with the trauma of killing her own sister, which would be a very interesting plot of stuff. This game needs a sequel. But that's how I would see Marianne going if Lillian is the one who died. Lillian's like Marianne is traumatized, and she lost her father, her foster father figure. So now she's looking for the real one, which is Thomas, to see if he's even still alive, right? That's how that goes there. Now let's go ahead and explore what happens if Marianne is the one who died. So if Marianne is the one, let's say she killed herself, right? So in that case, Lillian still has the maw on her, and she's just stuck. That's all there is to it. Thomas isn't there to help her out anymore. So she just stays at the Nero resort and just dies there? So here's the deal. Not gonna lie, I would actually prefer if Lillian is the one who dies, because then there's a hope for something. If Marianne kills herself, it does nothing to benefit Lillian. She's still alive, okay. She's still living a shitty existence. This is the worst thing about Lillian's life. She does, like, her whole life has been fucked, and because of the maw, there is no possible way for her to have anything in life, right? Now, if Marianne died, would she be fucking over the maw as well, right? Because the maw is fucked, it can't do anything, yes, but it still can't die because Lillian's still alive. So, meh. You know what I'm saying? So, like, having Marianne kill herself is honestly kind of a shitty thing. So, you know, how about this? How about this? Here's how I'm going to put it. Unless a sequel comes out, now that I think about it, unless a sequel comes out and disconfirms this, my own headcanon is that Lillian is the one who got shot. That's my headcanon. Because it makes for a better story, a better narrative. I wish they kind of done it. This game needs a sequel once again. But yeah, so that is, that's my assessment for how it would go. I know it's a very general assessment, but that's my assessment for how each way would go, no matter which way you would put the ending, without the cliffhanger, if it was actually conclusive. Lillian ending is shitty, but actually goes somewhere. Marianne's death ending is shitty, but doesn't really go anywhere. At least, not that I can figure out, at least. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, maybe Thomas comes back for Lillian. That's about the only thing I could think of, because you don't know what the fuck happened to him. That's pretty much it. So those are the two things I had to address. You know, although other players' concerns are valid. Game critic review guys who shit on this game can fuck themselves. Fuck you. People like the Washington Post. Fuck you. Your opinion doesn't matter because you're not at the consensus. Go fuck yourself. I'm flipping off my screen right now. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, unless there's something else to add in the future, I will call it a day again and back to the regular review. One last thing. I've been thinking about this game for a little bit since I completed it. And there's one facet about the ending with the ending gunshot that I didn't think about it before. In terms of the cliffhanger. So, in the beginning, Marianne has the dream about the person, and then the girl, and then the gunshot. The girl, I'm pretty sure, is clearly supposed to be Lillian. Which implies to me, even if there's not a sequel, it implies to me that Lillian, or I think it implies that Lillian is in fact the one who got shot. Unless they would change that somehow in a proposed sequel. So that's my so that is my official headcanon because it makes more sense for a possible sequel and because of the potential implications from that beginning dream sequence. It is my headcanon that Lillian is the one who was shot. So there you go. Okay, whether I added anything or not is up to whatever. Um, I love this game. A plus. Bloober team, you outdid yourself. And I look forward to playing a sequel, should one happen. Maybe the Medium 2, maybe the Medium Sister. Who the fuck knows? All I know is that it all ties well into it itself. And, yeah. So that's it for this review. Have a fantastic day. This is me, signing out. Thumbs up A+ for this game. Have a good day.